What up, though, y'all? It's Chris, broadcasting from the D. We got a bit of an update here with the Simone Biles, Riley Gaines situation, and I'll go over it with you guys. First, let me start off by saying there were a couple things in my last video that I got incorrect. Riley Gaines is 5'5". I thought she was a little bit taller than that. I seen her a couple times in heels. So I mistakenly thought that she was a little bit taller than that. But yeah, she's 5'5". So that's not unusually tall for a woman. That's actually in that range that, you know, that we like. So yeah, she's not a super tall woman. Another thing that I got wrong, I thought that she came in second place to William Leah Thomas, William Thomas, whichever way you want to address him. But no, she tied with him, and they just gave him the trophy, which that's crazy to me, man. So competing against men, you was failing, and then you jumped in. You like a 6'3", 6'4" dude, and you jump in to compete with the girls, and you can't even beat them clean. That's crazy, man. You a 6'4" dude. You have the strength and stamina advantage of a man, and a 5'5" chick still kept up, bro. That's that's pretty fucking pathetic. I ain't gonna hold y'all up. I wish I would have knew this part when I made that first video, but I digress, man. Let's get into this thing. So there were some receipts that were produced, where Simone Biles looked a bit like a hypocrite, man. I'm afraid the sister, she kind of flip flop like a trout on this one. There's a receipt of her tweeting, being thankful that one man in particular, didn't compete against women because he would get all of the gold medals. So yeah, you got that. How do we go from that to advocating for men to compete against girls? Like, what is that? There was also a receipt, or receipts actually, that she provided, where she said that people would body shame her because of her body being muscular. And so for her to turn around and body shame Riley Gaines, who looks pretty feminine, like Riley Gaines, she's a pretty girl. She's pretty attractive. She overall looks very feminine. She looks like what she is. I mean, she's got a little tone muscle to her because, she's an athlete, but she's very feminine looking. So Simone Biles saying that people would body shame her. She felt bad about her body. She would wear sweaters and stuff to cover up her body because she was self-conscious about it. For her to, in any way, shape, or form, say something about somebody else's body, that's pretty strange, man. So yeah, just overall the way she moved with that, I'm pretty disappointed by it, because as I said, I'm a fan of hers. I think she's the gymnastics GOAT. I still stand on that. I don't agree with this stuff that she's talking about right now, but that's still, that's still my gymnastics GOAT. But she has, after much pushback, she apparently has walked back the things that she said in a tweet that she did a couple hours ago, and I'll read it for you. I wanted to follow up from my last tweets. I've always believed competitive, equity, inclusivity are both essential in sport. The current system doesn't adequately balance these important principles, which often leads to frustration and heated exchanges, and it didn't help for me to get personal with Riley, which I apologize for. These are sensitive, complicated issues that I truly don't have the answers or solutions to, but I believe it starts with empathy and respect. I was not advocating for policies that compromise fairness in women's sports. My objection is to be what? My objection is to be singling out children for public scrutiny in ways that feel personal and harmful. Individual athletes, especially kids, should never be the focus of criticism of a flawed system they have no control over. I believe sports organizations have a responsibility to come up with rules supporting inclusion while maintaining fair competition. We all want a future for sports that is fair, inclusive, and respectful. Okay, so that's mouthful there. It's a nice lengthy paragraph that I don't believe she wrote at all. I think this was a very much a publicist statement that she copy and pasted and put out there. But there are some things in it that I do want to address. She said she was not advocating for policies that compromise fairness in women's sports. I mean, you were by standing against a system that is fair for women. You are directly or indirectly advocating for the opposite. So there's that. She says that her objection was to be singling out children for public scrutiny in ways that feel personal and harmful, and that they should never be the focus of criticism of a flawed system. Well, if you put yourself out there, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that if you put yourself out there, you're open game. All the powers that be knew this would be a very controversial thing, and they moved forward with it anyway, including the boy himself. The boy himself, I mean, we're not blind to what's happening in the world. The boy himself knew that people weren't going to like it, but wanted to participate anyway. And there's a couple things with this. One, I don't believe women's sports is a second chance for failed male athletes. I'm really tired of guys that absolutely sucked when competing against men, seeing girl sports as an easy road to get the ego boost when it comes to wins that they simply weren't good enough to get when they were competing against boys. I've seen it in cycling. I've seen it in swimming. We've seen it in softball. We've seen it in basketball. There was the guy that was like in his 30s or 40s, something like that. I can't remember specifically. Was playing college basketball on the women's team. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, why are we even entertaining this stuff? Certain things are just common sense. They're a non-debate. Men should not be playing in women's sports. And we know that the women are at a disadvantage. So why are we pretending like they aren't? Here's the best example for how we know that the women are at a disadvantage. We never see this going the opposite way. We never do. We do not be seeing women that won't identify as men trying to go participate in men's sports because they'll get absolutely obliterated. We don't see women who want to be men trying so hard to get into the men's locker room. They're not trying to take a vagina into the men's locker room. They steer clear. They're totally fine. Those studs and those trans men, they're totally fine going into the ladies' room. They're not trying to go anywhere near the men's restroom, the men's locker room. They are not trying to strip down naked around a bunch of guys. So to try to make it seem like that we have some sort of phobia or whatever, no, it's just common sense, because the very people that you're advocating for, only one side is trying to do this, the other side isn't. Both sides would be trying to do this if it made sense, but it doesn't. So Simone Biles, I believe that she could have did more to acknowledge that what she did was wrong and hypocritical, saying that she got personal with Riley and she apologizes for that. It's cool that you apologize, but it kind of feels hollow, because you didn't really, the disrespect that you threw out there, the apology should be just as loud. Like you talking about, you compared her to a man and all this and that, which was very strange, because as I ended up learning, Simone Biles was compared to a male, and that really hurt her. That affected her. So for her to take something that she was against, that she was condemning, and then weaponize it against someone else, another fellow athlete, that was just really weird, man. I don't know. I think she should just kind of stay out of this stuff, man. Like, for real. And why is it that it seems like these athletes always, these female ones anyway, when they're done competing is when they suddenly are all for men or boys competing against the girls? Simone Biles never had to compete against males. And by her own admission, because you can find that tweet. Now, she went deleting it after it got brought back up, after it resurfaced, but deleting it from your feed does not delete it from the internet. Those receipts are out there. So by her own admission from that tweet, it's a good thing that men don't compete against women. So to go from that to now acting like this is totally fine, and that the people who have an issue with it are just phobic and sore losers and they should be advocating. No, this whole thing with trans rights in sports, playing sports is not a right. Let's just go ahead and get that out there. Playing sports is not a right. It is a privilege. You don't have a right to play softball, so, and if you want to play softball all that badly, then go play with the boys. It's that simple. It's not about being an adult or underage. It's not about being phobic. It's about, what the hell, man. If you have a daughter, it's not phobic or hateful for you to not want opportunities for her to be taken away by boys that shouldn't even be there. From what I've seen, the young man pitched the whole game for every game in that tournament. Now, why would they do that? Why would they do that? They knew they had an advantage and they wanted to win bad enough. And they were being allowed to cheat. So if they're being allowed to cheat, why wouldn't they cheat? I'm going to leave it there, though, y'all. Let me know what you think. Hit me with a like if you like what I do. Hit me with a sub if you like what I do. And hit me in them comments. I'm going to holler at y'all. Peace.